So I just wanted to do a quick little reference just of our single blocks, flats, and rods from our base 10 number system. So those single blocks are in blue. Those are just those individual blocks. The rod is going to be made up of 10 blocks. It's a long stick kind of, but 10 blocks within it. And then finally the flats will be made up of 100 blocks. It's a 10 by 10 square, so altogether it is going to have 100 blocks within it. We can count them individually and it would come up to 100. I'm not going to do that now, but you feel free to count all those and we would definitely have 100 blocks within it. Anyway, I just wanted to introduce this kind of as a reference that we can follow by throughout the remainder of these lessons for the AMT. Okay, so when we are starting with a partial sum method, the number one thing that I like to do at first is to color code my place values. So we all know partial sums, or I guess we don't all know, but we all should know partial sums is dealing with place values, and we're adding those and then combining our the sum of our place values at the end. So all that I'm doing right now is color coding the tens and ones in the place value for 48 plus 25. So I went ahead, did the 40 green for 4 and the 48, the 8 purple for the ones value, and then for 25 and the tens value for the 2 or the 20, it's blue, and pink for the 5 for the ones value. So now I'm just going through and adding them together. So I'm doing the 40 plus the 20 from the 48, the 40 is from the 48, and the 20 is from the 25, and I found my answer to be 60. Then I'm taking my ones values, and I'm adding 8 plus 2. So I took that 2 that was originally in the 5 to make it simpler to just create 10. To continue off of that, I know that I took that 2 from the 5, so I had to make sure to double check and subtract 2 from 5. So I did 5 minus 2, and that left me with 3. And then I added 3 to the total. So when I added 60 plus 10 plus 3, it came out with 73. So the next step in solving for partial sum methods, or representing what we just found through our base 10 blocks, is representing each number separately at first. So I'm starting off by representing 48. I'm making rods, which, as we remember from our reference at the beginning, are our long sticks of 10 individual blocks within them. That's what our rods are. But I'm going ahead and I'm drawing 4 of those rods to represent the 40. So after completing those 4 rods to create 40 from the 48, the next step would be looking at our ones place value, which is 8. So I am now just drawing those individual cubes. We're drawing 8 of them to represent the 8 and 48. So then our complete drawing would have 4 rods and 8 cubes, leaving us with a drawing of 48. The next step after drawing our 48 is to draw 25. So I'm going to go ahead and take that blue color I used to represent the 2 in the tens value, and I'm going to go ahead and make 2 rods representing 20 from the 25. After doing those 10 values, I'm going to use the color pink to represent my ones place value. So in the ones is 5, so I'm going to go ahead and individually draw 5 blocks representing the 5 and 25. So now altogether we have a drawing representing 25 from our base 10 blocks. We're going to go ahead and start to look at how we can combine these to find our sum. So the first step that I'm going to do is take those 2 tens and bring them over to where the 48 is so that I can see that there's going to be 6 tens grouped together. Then I recognize that I have those 8 cubes, and I'm going to put those down at the bottom because I know that I'm going to be able to combine some of the cubes from the 25 to create another rod. So now is when I'm going to take those two pink cubes from 25 and add those onto the 8 to create another rod. So now it's showing that we have 7 rods, or 7 groups of 10. So when we count all those up, that adds to 70. I went ahead and highlighted the blocks that I had already used just to make sure that I'm not missing anything or reusing something again. When we look over, there's 3 remaining from the 25, and that would be the last additional 3. Again, I'm just counting all of my rods in single blocks. There's 7 rods equaling to 70, and there's 3 blocks equaling to 3, so altogether it's going to come out with a sum of 73. So now I'm just quickly going over another way that we could do a partial sums method. It's essentially the same start. We're adding the 40 and the 20, but then instead of adding the part of the 5 being the 2 to the 8 to create 10 and then the remaining 3, another way that students might do it is just adding 8 plus 5 to get 13 and adding 60 plus 13. There's so many different ways that you can solve partial sum addition methods. It just depends on the preference of the student. So I just definitely wanted to place that out there, and I'll just do a quick run through so you can see what it would look like to do a base 10 block system for this kind of example. So again, just replicating the same base 10 block example of last time, but instead of duplicating the 2 to create a new rod, I just counted all the individual single blocks to add up to 13. I'm adding those in now, and then once you count the 4 rods from 48 and 2 rods from 25 to find 60, and then the 13, it ends up just coming out to 73, just the same as the previous one. So as you can see, the partial sums method of solving addition problems is very effective because it breaks up the problems piece by piece, making it really easy to see them all together.